Hi, I'm Chapin, and I want to let you know that it gets better. I made a video last year to say that it gets better, but it's a new year, and I want to make sure you don't forget that it does get better. Anytime school year starts, there are countless of you who are going into high school for the first time, with new teachers, new classrooms, and new students. And regardless if you're a freshman, sophomore, junior, or senior, it can be difficult when you feel that you're different from everybody else. And it can be particularly difficult if you're lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender. I realized that I was gay when I was in high school, going into my senior year, when I fell in love with someone else. And it was a really hard time. Even in San Francisco in the early 1990s, by then San Francisco became a gay mecca, but there were other parts of the city where people didn't really understand as well what it means to be gay. And I struggled with it. At first, I tried to change myself to be straight because it seemed that that was the more socially acceptable thing. You know, the more acceptable thing with my family, the more acceptable thing in my school. So I would find myself lying down on my bed after school in the afternoons, trying to pray the whole thing away, trying to be different, trying to get my mind off of this guy that I've been thinking about, that I fell in love with, that I found so great. And it was hard. It's something that I couldn't win. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't change myself. And I found my great suffering. I found myself getting depressed. I found myself withdrawing from all of my friends. People were wondering what was going on with me. The first time that I decided to raise my voice was I decided to write a short story called Mutant Energy. And the next day I got to school super early so that no one could see me come in. And I went over to the school paper's office and slipped my story underneath the door so no one would know that it's me, because I submitted it anonymously. And the next couple of weeks it came out in the school paper. And it was basically me describing what it feels to be gay, what it feels to be different, what it feels to be something that isn't accepted. And it was the first time that I raised my voice, but I wasn't speaking to anybody, I was just speaking out, and there was no one that I saw that could hear me in return. And then finally I realized that I had to do something about it, so I went to my high school counselor, February 2nd, 2004, that's the day that I came out, and when I saw him, when I said that I was gay, I couldn't even say the word. It was just so hard for me to do. But if all came out, you know, like the Niagara Falls, and it was like all of this pent-up emotions, this negative energy, you know, being held up, you know, by this dam that I was building, and I finally cracked it and it all came out, and it was invigorating, it was powerful. I feel like I had not much control, but I have to tell you, I felt my first semblance of freedom in that moment. And my high school counselor listened to me. He gave me a lot of encouragement, a lot of advice. It was just wonderful to hear him say what he said and not make me feel like that, you know, I'm this different person that wasn't good enough, that wasn't natural. It really helped me. And then the next day I went to my junior high school prom date, who was a girl. And, you know, for a whole hour after high school, after that class, or after the day, I took a whole hour to, you know, try to come out to her, you know, prefacing it by saying, I don't know what you're going to think, I'm really scared of what you're going to think, but I have something to tell you, and it's just something that's really important. You know, I mean, I was starting to get in tears, and she's probably thinking, oh my God, you know, is there something, you know, really, really wrong with this guy? You know, we finally hugged without even me telling her yet, and then I finally told her that I was gay, and she was like, oh, really? Okay. In her mind, it just didn't matter at all, but I have to say, in my mind, you know, to be able to come out to someone, you know, my age and my class, it was something that I really needed to do, and it made me feel so much better, so much happier. I came out to all of the rest of my closest friends in high school over the next week or two, and it made my life a lot easier while I was still in high school for the next couple of months until I graduated. And then I got out of high school, and I went into college to San Francisco State University, and that's when I started making gay friends, LGBT friends, and my life started to get back in balance pretty quickly, I have to say. I just felt normal, I felt relaxed, I felt like I was doing better. Then I started getting serious in my school finally. Then I got into the professional world, and I have a pretty good job, and I've had a pretty good career so far. And I've fallen in love a number of times over the last 15 years or so. I've had some very meaningful relationships, meeting some absolutely wonderful people. And I have to say that was, being in love is one of the best experiences that anybody could ever go through, because when you're in love, it feels that everything else stops and there's nothing else but you and the other person. And you really get to know the other person. You get to see how they're like, how they look like, all the little mannerisms, the sound of their voice, the little idiosyncrasies, the things you might not like about them become the things that you really, really like about them. And, you start sharing your life experiences with them. And, oh, it's just so wonderful. And not only that, but I also joined a lot of organizations outside of high school and even college. I went through my sports years that I didn't go through in high school in my late 20s. I'm joining the San Francisco Fog Rugby Football Club, which is an awesome sport, awesome club, and awesome teammates. And then I joined the San Francisco Gold Diggers Men's Ice Hockey Club and learned to play hockey for the first time, and boy, that was a lot of fun. And now you can find me in the San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus, and I really feel that I found my family, and I can imagine being with them for many, many decades to come, if not for the rest of my life. And had I known back in high school that all of this is ahead of me, and there's still so many more years of my life ahead of me, then I think I would have realized that, you know what, high school's a little bit hard, but in the grand scheme of things, it's a blip. And once it's over, then it's going to get so much better. But while you're in high school, there are things that you can do to make it a little bit better now. There is a Gay Straight Alliance network all around the country, and if there is a GSA group within your school, then feel free to reach out to them. If you don't feel comfortable joining them, then see if you can try to get in contact with one or two of them. And at least that will help you know that you're not alone, even in high school. And in the grand scheme of things, in high school, make sure that you're with other people who you feel comfortable with, that you're not trying to associate yourself with those who you think are the right people to hang out with because of peer pressure or because they may have better standing than other people in high school. The people who really you should be close to are those that you feel comfortable with, those that you can call good, close friends. And if you're feeling suicidal, then there's the Trevor Project, and you can make a phone call to them directly at 1-866-4U-TREVOR. And there are wonderful people on the other side of the line that can really help you out and make you feel a lot better. And thankfully, because of the It Gets Better Project, there are over 20,000 videos of people like me, people not like me, organizations, even professional sports teams who are trying to reach out to you to let you know that even though high school might be a little bit difficult or really, really difficult, that it does get better after high school, and that you're not alone, and that it's okay for you to be you. And as we're going into the next school year, I want to make sure that you hear from me again, that it does get better. And I'm happy to tell you the next year, and the next year, and the next year, that it gets better until you get out of high school, and you can see with your own eyes that it really does get better. And until then, I'm not going to go away.